Let me start off by just saying in a real quick word, wow. I am Shannon Glover, Mayor of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to our wonderful Port City. We're excited about you being here, and I'm sure that you will be excited about the news that is going to be shared with you. Before I step down and ask our Congresswoman to come forward, I want to recognize our City Manager, Angel Jones, our council member, Councilwoman Lisa Lucas Burke, and our council member, Paul Battle. On behalf of the Portsmouth City Council and all of the city residents, we thank you all for being here and have a great day.
Good morning, and it's always a great day when you get started on the Hampton Roads waterfront, and it's just a pleasure to be able to be here and kick off this exciting announcement that's to come today. I'm Congresswoman Lane Luria. I represent the 2nd Congressional District, and along with Congressman Bobby Scott, who represents the 3rd District and is the chair of the Education and Labor Committee. We want to welcome you and our new business here to Hampton Roads for the announcement that will happen today. It's really a privilege to have the Secretary of Energy here with us, Jennifer Granholm. We also have Governor Northam. Thank you, Governor, for being here for part of this exciting announcement. And our host, Stephen Edwards from the Port of Virginia, Mr. Bob Blue from Dominion Energy, Mr. Steve Daney from Siemens Gamesa, who we're very excited to hear from shortly. The Director of the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, Amanda Lefton. I will say that as the founder of the bipartisan Offshore Wind Caucus, Director Lefton has been incredibly helpful working on permitting and other issues from the federal level to help our offshore wind development move forward. We have Virginia's Secretary of Transportation, Shannon Valentine, as well as the Secretary of Commerce and Trade, Mr. Brian Ball, and the Chief Deputy of Virginia Energy, Jennifer Palistrand, who's also been a great leader in offshore wind for our region. It's very exciting today to know that Virginia will be leading the way in this offshore wind development. As you know, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management has set aside 144,000 acres off the coast of Virginia, and we are well posed to be the launching off point, not just for the Virginia development, but the Kitty Hawk development and all of the Mid-Atlantic. We have the great fortune of having an unobstructed port, a deep harbor, and this wonderful facility that will be a key part of supporting these developments. So thank you for being here today, and I will now turn it over to Shannon Valentine.
Good morning. I'm Shannon Valentine. I'm Secretary of Transportation, and we've never actually got to do this together, but we're welcoming all of you, and I'm joined this morning by our Secretary of Commerce and Trade, Brian Ball. It is always a great privilege to be with all of our dignitaries. Stephen Edwards, welcome back. Madam Secretary, welcome to Virginia. And so many partners who are here today, without whom today would simply not be possible. I would like to acknowledge many of our General Assembly members. Senator Louise Lucas is here, Senator Lionel Sproul. Delegate Mark Sickles. I follow you from city to city, it appears. Delegate Cliff Hayes is here, I'm so glad. Delegate Emily Brewer, Delegate Alfonso Lopez, Delegate Nancy Guy, thank you for being here. Delegate Shelley Simons. We go from space to the port. Delegate Mike Mullen. And I hope I have captured all of you who are with us today. We also have our incredible team from the Port of Virginia and members from the board. Chairman John Milliken is here. Joni Ivey, who serves on our board. Congressman Bobby Scott, thank you for sharing Joni with us at the Port of Virginia. And Ed O'Callahan, thank you, sir, so much for being here. We also have Jennifer Palistrand, who our Congresswoman mentioned from the Virginia's Department of Energy, our Secretary of Labor, Megan Healy, thank you for joining us. And we have so many federal, regional, local business and industry partners. All of you have played an integral role in making today possible. As many of you all know, the Commonwealth of Virginia has been preparing to welcome and develop the offshore wind industry, and we've taken many steps to move forward with creating a clean Virginia energy economy. About 18 months ago, Governor Northam and our General Assembly set a target for Virginia to produce 5.2 gigawatts of offshore wind energy by 2034. That commitment, that certainty, not only creates the opportunity for clean energy for our citizens, it also creates certainty in the marketplace and lets the world know that Virginia is open for business in the offshore wind industry. Thank you, Mayor Glover. I appreciate that. That commitment, coupled with the remarkable, unique, world-class assets here at the Port of Virginia, wide open space, deep water access, no overhead restrictions, and an unprecedented skilled maritime labor force. Those attributes certainly position Virginia to be a leader and to be the hub along our U.S. East Coast for offshore wind. We have a remarkable team with leadership from our Chief of Staff, Clark Mercer, and partners in commerce and trade with Brian Ball, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership led by Stephen Murray, Vince Barnett, Sarah Campbell, all partners working together to develop an emerging industry here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It is now my pleasure to turn this portion over to my friend and colleague, Brian Ball.
Thank you, Shannon.
Secretary Valentine, well, thank you all for being here, first of all, and thank you for having us. And Secretary Valentine, may I brag a little bit more about the port? It's in your secretariat, but I do want to say a few additional.
I would say yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's not really bragging. I'm just gonna speak give you some facts. We have a world-class port here. It's a world-class port. It's among the most modern, the most efficient, and productive in the Western Hemisphere. And as a result, month over month, we're moving more and more cargo in here every month. We're setting records, and it's not going unnoticed. It's noticed by the entire shipping industry on a worldwide basis. And we've made multiple investments in the port. We're going to continue to make investments in the port. And most importantly of all, this is your port. It's a crown jewel for the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we couldn't have a better port here and a better operated port here as well. And we're making way for more diverse types of cargo, and we're going to create more opportunities that are well beyond the first class or the world-class container port that it is today. And the Portsmouth Marine Terminal, where we're sitting here today, is ground zero for what's coming here next. Many East Coast ports are talking about offshore wind and the things they're going to be doing to get ready. Well, today we're right here in Virginia. We're here and we're ready. And the reason is because we're at the Portsmouth Marine Terminal. And if I could just mention three attributes about this port that I'll talk to anybody who'll listen to me about it. We're 18 miles from the Atlantic Ocean. We're deep water as we stand here today. And you can call this an accident in history, but there is no bridge that gets in the way of bringing what's going to come in here that the governor's going to tell you about in just a minute. There's no bridge, there's no impediments, and that is unique. That is unique on the East Coast. I can't tell you about the world, but I can tell you on the East Coast, it's unique. The other thing I want to tell you is the development of offshore wind in Virginia, which you're going to hear more about in just a moment. People will talk about its long-term effects, but Americans tend to think about long-term effects in 1 year, 5 years, 2 years, whatever it is. We're talking about decades, if not generational changes for this area, for the entire Commonwealth. And they'll have long-term effects on this Commonwealth, and they will include job creation. And God knows we have a wonderfully skilled workforce here that will fulfill the economic needs we have here to create this exciting new industry. We're going to have great economic investment. This will be a major step in diversifying our economy, and we're going to have clean, renewable energy, and that's something that is so important to us and will continue to be so important to us in years to come. So it's an honor for me today to be able to introduce to you the individual who's had a steady hand on the tiller from day one on this exciting endeavor that we're launching today. And it didn't start with the beginning of this particular exciting event today. It started at the very beginning of his term. Think Clean Energy Act. We did that. It's a surprise who I'm going to introduce, so I didn't want to say his name. It's a surprise, but we started out on that at the very beginning of his term. Think all the clean energy initiatives that we've done, either with executive order, other forms of legislation. And so it's a great honor for me to be able to introduce to all of you our leader and the leader who's been so front and center on getting us to where we are today, our 73rd Governor, Ralph S. Northern.
Please be seated. Welcome. Good morning. It was too early for you all to get up and stretch your legs, but I appreciate the warm welcome. And first of all, it is always good to be back in 757. So appreciate all of you being here today for really what's an exciting announcement, not only for Portsmouth, not only for Hampton Roads, but for the entire Commonwealth and the East Coast for that part. And I wanted to just take the opportunity. There are so many people that have been part of this, and such a team. As I say, it takes a village, and a lot of you have been recognized. A lot of you have been working behind the scenes, and I just want to say on behalf of a very grateful Commonwealth of Virginia, thanks to all of you. You just heard from Secretary Ball and Secretary Valentine that the transportation projects that Secretary Valentine has led in the Commonwealth over the last 4 years, the commerce, the over $77 billion of capital investment that Secretary Ball and his team have brought into Virginia. Our Chief of Staff is here with us today, Clark Mercer. Everybody has worked really hard on making this happen together. So I just wanted to give them a round of applause and appreciation from all of us. Thank you all. And it's great to have all of our delegates and senators, and I won't go through recognizing you all together, but yeah, I see so many of you here today, it's almost, I feel like having a special session after today. So if you all have a couple minutes, I have a couple things that we may need to discuss, but isn't it exciting that we have our Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholt. Thank you, and we'll hear from you in just a bit, but welcome to Virginia. So today we are celebrating an exciting announcement that puts us a vital step closer toward being the leader in offshore wind. Just about 3 years ago, many of us stood not far from here on Virginia Beach to help launch Dominion Energy's offshore wind demonstration project. That was just 2 turbines, certainly a good start, but 12 megawatts, and we knew we wanted to have more. And so now, after 3 years of hard work, Dominion Energy is about to launch the largest offshore wind project in the United States. They call it Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind, and it's going to generate, I think this is amazing, enough electricity to power 660,000 homes right here in Virginia. And they're going to do it with one of the most important engineering companies in the world. So today, I'm excited to announce that Dominion has chosen Siemens Gamesa Renewable Energy as their partner in this project. That means that Siemens Gamesa first will build the turbine blades, then they'll finish them right here at this new facility that we're standing in. They'll be carried out to sea, as Shannon said, through deep channels and under no bridges we don't have as a hindrance. And this project is expected to cost around $250 million and create more than 300 new jobs. That's great news for Portsmouth, and that's great news for Hampton Roads and the Commonwealth of Virginia. And it also represents a huge step forward for Virginia because this is the largest offshore wind turbine facility in America. When we first announced Dominion's offshore wind demonstration project, we said there is no reason we can't build everything that we need for offshore wind right here in Virginia. So it's exciting to see those plans finally coming to fruition. We now have 3 companies right here at the Portsmouth Marine Terminal, Siemens Gamesa, Dominion Energy, and Ørsted, collaborating to build the largest offshore wind project in the United States and make Virginia the leader in this important new industry. But we did not get here by accident. We have planned and worked hard to lay the foundation for offshore wind and position Virginia as a leader. Last year, I signed the Virginia Clean Energy Act into law. It's one of the single most ambitious clean energy laws in the United States. It includes a strong wind component with a target for Virginia to generate 5,200 megawatts of offshore wind between now and 2034. This is a vital part of our plan to get the Commonwealth to 100% clean energy by the year 2050. We also established a division of offshore wind within Virginia's Department of Energy. We believe it is the first of its kind in the nation. We've made improvements and investments here at the Port of Virginia. This is one of the most technologically advanced ports in the world, and it's the only one on the East Coast port with authorization for 55-foot depth channels. We're, as you can see, proud of the port, and it's a major part of our offshore wind plans, as we see with Siemens Gamesa's plan to build its blade finishing facility right here. And we've made plans for building the workforce for jobs in this new industry. We've partnered with North Carolina and Maryland to form the Mid-Atlantic Wind Training Alliance to get workers the skills that they need. The Siemens Gamesa Blade Project will also get support from the Virginia Talent Accelerator Program, our custom workforce initiative that has been ranked number 2 in the nation. We already have a tremendous base of knowledge here in Hampton Roads with its deep maritime history, the world's largest naval base, and the largest shipbuilding company in the United States. These workforce initiatives build on this deep pool of talent. Now, back in July, we were here at the port when CNBC named Virginia the best state in the country for business, not once, but for the 2nd year in a row. We can all be so proud of what this says about the inclusive, common sense policies that we have all worked together to put in place and how they encourage business investment. It is a testament to Virginia's workforce, our education system, our commitment to diversity, and our strong business climate. You know, when we treat people right, it's not only the right thing to do, but it's also good for business. We have brought record levels of economic investment and jobs to Virginia, and today is another day to celebrate. New jobs, new investment, new manufacturing, and better for the environment too. I'd like to remind people, and Secretary Ball mentioned this, we have always been dependent on the military and government contracting, and we always will be. But something that we recognized 4 years ago is that we really needed to diversify our economy. And we did that by bringing companies like Amazon and Micron and Microsoft and Facebook and Google, and I could go on, but to bring Dominion Energy and Siemens Gamesa here in a partnership to promote offshore wind is just another step in diversifying the economy. So for that, I say thank you. I I also want to remind people, and this is something that has been near and dear to my heart, we've come a long way in Virginia because of a great team in a short period of time. And I want to remind folks that it wasn't but a few years ago that we had to literally fight to stop offshore drilling for oil off of our coast, an activity that would endanger our environment. And so in just a few years, we had turned the ship literally 180 degrees from offshore drilling to offshore wind. And I'd say thank you all for that. We should all be proud of that. So now instead, we're building new clean energy infrastructure. And in fact, we're hearing that Dominion's wind turbines, and this is something else that's personal to me. And Bob, I hope you'll kind of mention this in your comments, but the wind turbines, the two of them that are off our shore, are already out there and they become a haven for marine life. Now that's code for better offshore fishing. And so, I'll have a little more free time on my hands here in a couple months. So you all keep building these turbines. So truly, thank you, my friends. This is a day to celebrate. And in closing, I want to thank VEDP. I know we've got several members here from VEDP. I want to thank everyone at the Port of Virginia, Dominion Energy, Siemens Gamesa, the City of Portsmouth, the Hampton Roads Alliance, the General Assembly, the MEI, for all of their work to secure this important project for Virginia. While this announcement is good for Virginia, it's also an important step in supporting other offshore wind projects along the East Coast, including the Biden administration's goal of installing 30 gigawatts of offshore wind by 2030. So we are so pleased to have members of the Virginia congressional delegation and the Biden administration here to celebrate with us today. Just to tell you once more, we're excited. Virginia is all in for offshore wind. So at this time, Steve Daney, if you could join me at the podium. Good to see you this morning. This again on behalf of the Commonwealth, I just thank you all so much. I know there's been a lot of discussions, a lot of negotiations, but this is a proud day for all of us. And this is a Virginia flag that we have proudly flown over our capital in Richmond, and I hope you all can find a place here to proudly display it as well. But I just want to say on behalf of the Commonwealth of Virginia that this is about relationships for us, and this is the beginning of a relationship that we expect to go on for a long time. And anything that we can do to make your business successful, we will in Virginia. So welcome to the Commonwealth of Virginia. Thank you so much. And you'll hear from Steve in just a minute again, but now I am so excited to welcome Madam Secretary Jennifer Granholm. As you all may know, she was the governor of Michigan. She understands a little bit about manufacturing. She's now the Secretary of Energy for the entire country, doing an amazing job. And I just hope you all will all put your hands together and get on your feet and give her a warm Virginia welcome. Welcome, Secretary Granholm.
Thank you. I just, as a former governor, listening to him brag about all that's happening here in Virginia, it just warms my heart because Virginia just has so much to offer. And, when I was governor of Michigan, at that point, Mark Warner and Tim Kaine were governors at that point, and it was always competition, and Virginia always won. So, but I'm so glad to be here to actually celebrate this huge, it's not just that 300 people are going to be working here. This is symbolic for the entire nation, what is happening right here. And Governor, your vision in passing the Virginia Clean Energy Act in 2020, or your vision is to get to 100% clean electricity, 100%, that means that you have this vision for being able to create a whole new economy here in Virginia around clean energy. You know, I was reminded when I think about this notion of setting a vision, setting a mark out there, there's this great quote from an author that you might know who wrote The Little Prince, Antoine Saint-Exupéry, and he says this, he says, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up men to gather wood, divide the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. You have to create a vision to motivate that kind of movement of creating a whole new economy. And you have been a tremendous leader for Virginia in creating that vision. And I feel there are other tremendous leaders with vision who are here. I just want to acknowledge and thank Congresswoman Luria and Congressman Scott. Congresswoman Luria, who chairs the Offshore Wind, committee? I don't even know what the caucus in Congress, who has this huge vision for what is happening here, 5.2 gigawatts of that 30 gigawatts that President Biden wants to create. You have such a huge portion of the president's vision right here. And she also has been such a leader as well in championing nuclear energy as part of our nation's clean energy future. And I'm so grateful for that as well. And Congressman Scott, this is, talk about, I know you have been all in on creating jobs in your district and creating new opportunities for people here. And this is exactly that. And how proud you must be, how proud I am to be able to serve with both of these visionary leaders as well. Many of you may have heard when the president says the words, when I hear the words climate change, I think about jobs. He says that all the time. He sees the opportunity that is presented in this clean energy economy globally. It is a $23 trillion market by 2030, $23 trillion. And what he says is that America is going to get a big chunk of that. We're not going to stand by and watch our economic competitors claim that market. We are going to claim that market. And that means manufacturing, and that means generating clean energy, and that means all kinds of energy, whether it is nuclear or wind or solar or geothermal or hydropower, you name it, including the electric vehicle and the batteries for that. And I know your governor has a big vision on electric vehicles as well. So the fact that you will have, it's 260 full-time employees and 50 service jobs that will be created permanently here. And that project, this will also generate 900 direct and indirect jobs just during the construction phase, and then another 1,100 direct and indirect jobs once it's constructed. That's hundreds and hundreds of jobs. And it's just from this one offshore wind project. And if you zoom out, you can see that offshore wind energy is going to create ripples of job creation spreading from Virginia across the country. Not only are you gonna, we're talking about all kinds of jobs here. You're not gonna just need the workers to get these turbines spinning. You're gonna need engineers and construction workers to get the turbines up. You're gonna need turbine technicians and port staff to keep them running. You're going to need line workers to connect the projects to the transmission grid, and many, many more. But think about this. The turbines that will be finished at Siemens's facility are going to be installed by a Dominion vessel. Charybdis, it's the name of it. And that vessel, it's a jack-up vessel. These are such huge turbines. You need specialized ships to be able to use them. And you got to have those ships, and they've got to be in the United States. We have a law called the Jones Act, and they've got to be built in the United States. They have to be a U.S. flagged vessel. So you need a ship. And that ship is going to be built in Brownsville, Texas. And that ship is going to be built using steel from West Virginia. And then it's going to come here and be available for this project and for other projects as well. And it's going to be stationed here. The jobs created just on the ship alone are a whole nother layer of jobs that this clean energy economy will be creating. So I'm just saying, this Biden administration focused on offshore winds, and that 30 gigawatts is going to create all kinds of jobs for all kinds of people in all pockets of America. And that's just the offshore wind portion. So just saying. Just saying. And then as we speak, the Build Back Better agenda is being negotiated right now. And hopefully we will see some announcement in the next couple of days about it. But that will help you too, because there is massive wind credits for the generation of offshore and onshore wind embedded in that. Credits as well for nuclear, credits as well for all kinds of clean energy, including technology to decarbonize existing baseload energy. So there's a great thing about having a vision, setting a mark, and then the whole country rallying to move in pursuit of that mark, to make America a leader in clean energy jobs, and the health that goes along with that. And next up, I'm hoping that Siemens and Gamesa, we're talking about blades installed here. We want the manufacturing here too, no pressure or anything, but just the nacelles, the turbines, the towers. This would be a great place for that. So we have been lagging Europe in the establishment of offshore wind, but by adding wind capacity, we're going to diversify our energy supply, decarbonize our existing fossil fuel base. We will keep American prices affordable for Americans and their American households. So I want to thank you all for supporting this project, for being bullish on offshore wind, for having this be the example that we want to point to across the country for how to get it done. Thank you all for your leadership, for your commitment. Let us go forth and generate some clean electricity. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bob Blue with Dominion Energy. I have a number of colleagues here with me today. I'm representing Dominion Energy. A number of colleagues, I'm not going to call them all out specifically, but there are a few that I'd like to mention. When you came in, you may have seen a couple of our bucket trucks and several of our line workers here. I don't see them. Oh, there they are. They're sort of hiding from us because they're not really into the spotlight, but they do an incredible job for us. And we're highly cognizant of the fact that we can generate electricity offshore, but it doesn't do any good if it doesn't get to people's homes. And they have an incredibly hard job. They do it extraordinarily well in all conditions at all hours of the day or night. And I think we owe them a round of applause. And two other folks I'd like to mention, Mark Mitchell, who is our Senior Vice President of Project Construction. Mark, if you could wave, and Josh Bennett, Vice President of Offshore Wind. They are working through all of the contracts associated with our offshore wind project. And I know that they have spent so much time with Steve Daney and his colleagues in Europe that none of them know what time zone they are in at any time of the day or night. But they've done great work to get us to this point. Governor Northam, Secretary Granholm, Congresswoman Luria, Congressman Scott, other distinguished guests. I join everyone here today in welcoming this announcement as tremendously good news for the Hampton Roads region, for Virginia, and for Dominion Energy's offshore wind project. While I say Dominion Energy's project, I know it's bigger than we are. It could not happen without the leadership of Governor Northam, and lawmakers on both sides of the aisle in the General Assembly who championed and passed bipartisan enabling legislation that provides the policy foundation for offshore wind in the Commonwealth. It could not happen without our regional partners, from educational institutions to localities to skilled workers, including members of the Virginia building trades, whose commitment to safety and excellence align perfectly with two of our company's own core values, as well as the many other talented men and women in Hampton Roads who will grow their skills and experience through this project. And of course, it would not happen without Siemens Gamesa, which will provide key components for our project. The investment and jobs connected to today's announcement will strengthen and diversify the Hampton Roads economy, which is a wonderful development all by itself. But the advantages extend well beyond those most immediate effects. Today's announcement will help position Hampton Roads as the offshore wind development hub for the nation, a role it is ideally suited for, thanks to the unique advantages of the Port of Virginia, with its deep water access, and a location perfectly situated for projects up and down the East Coast. Just as Pittsburgh became synonymous with America's steel industry in an earlier era, and Silicon Valley is synonymous with advanced technology today, Hampton Roads could become synonymous not only with the maritime industry, but now with offshore wind. The region is already off to a fast start, thanks to the 2 turbines now providing energy to Virginia's grid. That 12 megawatt pilot, the first operational offshore wind project in federal waters, gave us valuable information to move forward with Dominion Energy's 2.6 gigawatt coastal Virginia offshore wind commercial development. And yes, Governor, it is also a haven for marine life. And you're welcome to come sample some of that marine life at any time. You have a standing invitation, although Mark and Josh may ask occasionally to be able to work out there as we build the new project. Our new project will be the largest wind project on this side of the Atlantic Ocean and the first American project owned by an electric utility. When we complete that project in 2026, it will be able to power up to 660,000 homes at peak output and avoid up to 5 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions annually, which is equivalent to planting 80 million trees. CVOW is essential to our vision of becoming the most sustainable energy company in the country. We're investing in wind, solar, and energy storage. We're extending the licenses of our carbon-free nuclear power stations. We're exploring innovative approaches to clean energy such as hydrogen, and we're leading the country in the development of carbon-negative renewable natural gas. We're getting as clean as we can, as fast as we can, without sacrificing reliability or affordability. Our primary mission is to serve our customers, and they will always come first. Having a blade factory in Hampton Roads is a key step toward a more efficient domestic supply chain with American clean energy jobs, which will benefit CVOW as well as the industry. Making CVOW happen as efficiently as possible is why we will have a crew transfer vessel on hand and why we are building the Charybdis, America's first offshore wind turbine installation vessel, which will be built in America and crewed by Americans with its home port here in Hampton Roads. I mentioned our core values of safety and excellence. A third one is One Dominion Energy, our term for teamwork. It's a spirit that reaches across organizational boundaries, transcends competing priorities, and unites us in a higher purpose. I see that same spirit at work here today. So let me close by thanking all of you for coming together to create something bigger than any of us. This is a wonderful moment. Thank you. And I believe next up is Steve Daney, the head of Offshore Wind North America at Siemens Gamesa. Steve.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Steve Daney, and I'm the head of Offshore Wind in North America for Siemens Gamesa. It's my distinct honor to be standing here today. Today's announcement is the culmination of the hard work of so many people, and it's personally one of the most exciting and rewarding days of my career. This is a historic announcement for Siemens Gamesa. We've been working for more than a decade to bring the promise and opportunity of offshore wind to the United States, and are proud to announce today we will be investing in a blade finishing facility here at Virginia's Portsmouth Marine Terminal. Siemens Gamesa has been a leader in offshore wind for more than 30 years, beginning when we installed the world's first offshore wind power plant, Daney, in 1991. But now we're adding to our history with a series of firsts in the United States. In 2018, we signed a contract for our first offshore wind project in the US. In 2020, we installed the first 2 offshore wind turbines in federal waters as part of the Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind Demonstration Project with our great partners at Dominion Energy. And now in 2021, we're making progress to make the United States a leader in offshore wind by announcing plans for the first blade finishing facility in the United States. This facility represents another step to develop the Portsmouth Marine Terminal into an offshore wind hub that someday can support offshore wind projects up and down the East Coast. When operational, the facility will immediately become part of the next first, supporting the delivery of the largest offshore wind project in the United States, the Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind Project. We've always believed that a local supply chain is key to ensure an offshore wind industry in the US. So I'd like to paint a picture with some numbers of the potential this single facility has. An investment and cost of more than $200 million, 260 direct factory jobs, with an additional 50 service jobs to come once the project is operational. The capacity to finish blades for more than 100 turbines per year. And today's just the beginning. With these numbers, we're bringing jobs to Virginia and are one step closer to the United States becoming a global offshore leader. In closing, there's really no shortage of people I'd like to thank. First, I'd like to thank Dominion Energy for their strong partnership. Next, I'd like to thank the Port of Virginia, Virginia International Terminals, and the Virginia Economic Development Partnership. I need to thank Governor Northam for his leadership and unwavering advocacy for offshore wind in Virginia. And Governor, I have a good spot in mind where we're going to plant that flag. We're also fortunate to have such a strong congressional delegation fighting for offshore wind, and the Biden administration setting a goal to achieve 30,000 megawatts of offshore wind by 2030. And last but certainly not least, I need to thank the entire team at Siemens Gamesa for working tirelessly to make today a reality. Let's start by building the future right here in Virginia. Thank you.
Good morning. You know, I feel a little bit like Yogi Berra, who said in a way he could only say, he'd just been given a great award and he was addressing the crowd and said, I want to thank everyone who made tonight necessary. Well, it's a pleasure to be here with my colleague Elaine Luria. Mark Warner and Tim Kaine have worked hard on this project and wanted to be here. But we're celebrating a new chapter in Virginia's leadership in offshore wind development. President Biden, as has already been said, called on the installation of 30 gigawatts of offshore wind power by 2030. And today's announcement will not only be a step in that direction, but also to the larger goal of achieving 100% clean energy, clean electricity by 2035. And we must meet these goals if we're going to avoid the worst outcomes of climate crisis. And it's also an honor to have Secretary Granholm with us today, especially in light of her work as part of the whole of government approach to establish an offshore wind supply chain in the United States. We have a moral responsibility to reduce emissions, but as this announcement illustrates, an incredible opportunity to put people back to work, ushering in a clean energy revolution. Workers in Hampton Roads are no strangers to building things, specifically in the maritime industry on a massive scale, as we have seen with aircraft carriers and nuclear submarines. Today's announcement is a testament to both the skill of Virginia's workers and the work of Governor Northam, Secretary Ball, Secretary Valentine, and what they've done to grow the offshore wind industry right here in Virginia, especially through the Mid-Atlantic Wind Training Alliance to facilitate workforce training for wind energy careers. Now, I'm committed to supporting continued investments in our workers and the clean energy economy as we continue our economic recovery from the pandemic. I chair the Committee on Education and Workforce, so I'm focused on working with my colleagues in Washington to pass President Biden's Build Back Better agenda with strong investments in workforce development and job training, so that we will have a clean energy workforce, which will be key to preserving a stable climate for current and future generations. So I want to thank you for being here and working for this project. Projects like this don't happen by themselves. So I just want to thank Siemens and Dominion and the port, Governor Northam and the state, Secretary Granholm and the federal government. I want to thank them all for making today necessary. And now, our next speaker will be the one who leads the Port of Hampton Roads and the Port of Virginia and will be coordinating all of these activities, Steve Edwards.
So you'll notice I'm the caboose of the train, so we can, we'll shortly be able to wrap up. But firstly, I want to say welcome to the port, and today is a good day. Today's a great day because we have two new customers. We have a customer in Dominion and we have a customer in Siemens Gamesa. And to both of you, we appreciate your confidence in our capability. We look forward to building a virtuous partnership together to develop this, and first in support of CVOW, but also beyond CVOW. We really do want to look at this and say, once CVOW is built in 2026, and we go forward from 2027 for many decades to come in building this industry, and not just for Virginia offshore wind, but for all the other states' offshore wind projects as well, and we can host them here. The Port of Virginia has been able to position Portsmouth Marine Terminal where we stand today to support this industry because of our ongoing investments in developing the most modern and efficient ports in the nation. We have the most modern and efficient port. We also have the best trained workforce, and our workforce is represented here today by Mr. Little and Mr. Bechtel from the International Longshoremen's Association, and thank you both for attending. This port is the fastest growing in the nation and is performing to the highest standards. Elsewhere, as we read in the mainstream press, the nation's supply chain is struggling. Without these ongoing investments, we would have had a very difficult decision to make regarding offshore wind. You can see behind me, if you can look out, the modern port. And because it's running so well, we've been able to convert this terminal to offshore wind and not be operating in the supply chain today because our efficient investments are running so well. On behalf of the port, I wish to thank our chairman, John Milliken, and the Board of Commissioners, two of whom are here today, and also the MEI Commission, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, for your continued support. Governor Northam, Secretary Ball, Secretary Valentine, and your staff, this development of offshore wind has required the closest collaboration of our teams, more than any other project we're involved with. So I just want to thank you for your support and your professionalism over the last 2 years. We look forward to helping grow this industry for the betterment of all of us. And finally, just to say thank you, everybody, for coming out today to be with us all to celebrate this occasion. Thank you.